So let's talk about some details with our First Coast News storm expert, Steve Federo. And Steve, I know a lot of people are asking you, and they're in sort of a freak out mode in a way, because they've seen what happened in Houston. They say Category 4 with Irma, and they're scared.
Do this with me.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll be happy to take a breath.
Take a breath.
Relax
Let's remain calm.
bit.
Let's look at all the factors in place, and we'll put those puzzle pieces together to make sure everyone's safe and make sure everyone's prepared. Now, a lot of people, like you mentioned, we're comparing this to Harvey. We can't compare storms. You can't look at Harvey and say, oh my goodness, Harvey was a Category 4. Did we see what it did to Houston? And then compare this. We got Irma. This was a Category 5. I can only imagine what it'll do here at home. Not the case, because that wasn't our storm. This is our storm. This is what we're eyeing up. And you might be looking at the Bahamas, some of the islands down in the Caribbean, seeing what Irma did to those islands, and you're thinking, I can only imagine what this is going to do here at home. Not so much the case, because this is going to continue to change its strength, its structure, and all of the factors and pieces in it as it approaches home. So as it does approach home, it's not, this storm is not going to be essentially the same storm as it approaches us, because some of those elements are going to be missing, some of them may be thrown in, it's going to be different. So that's why we got to keep it here with us and make sure that we're eyeing up Irma here. And this is from our GOES, this is a GOES satellite picture, and this is just still a hefty system, well-defined eye over warm water now, and it's kind of been slowing down a bit. And there's some good news and some bad news with that. I'll start with the bad news first, is that this is such warm water, and there is plenty of room for this to kind of continue to have its strength as it stays over warm water. However, the good news with it, the longer this kind of stays tight here, that stalled cold front up to our northeast, and the second one behind it will kind of give it a little bit time to steer it up north for us, and give it a little bit more direction from an outside influence, so to speak. So here's the latest for us. We got a Category 4 winds up to 155 miles an hour, and that latest path still pushing it a little bit towards the east. But remember, this track from the National Hurricane Center factors in a lot of computer models. What those computer models do is they take into account the current conditions going on with Hurricane Irma, and they kind of spritz in a couple variables, and they put out an outcome. And what that outcome is not exactly what's going to happen, because the current conditions of this storm will continue to change. So every time they change, that outputs are going to change slightly. So you can't just look at one hurricane model or hurricane forecast and say that is the forecast, because it's subject to change as the hurricane is subject to change. So still shifted a bit north. The National Hurricane Center has the eye coming really right west of the spine up the state of Florida. We got this around 8 a.m. Monday. So our impacts home here, we can expect them to be late in the day Sunday, really towards the overnight hours throughout the day Monday. Now here's our probability of hurricane force winds, and you can see the probability is dropping. Hurricane force winds 74, 75 miles an hour. That probability of a chance to see those hurricane force winds here around the First Coast, northeast Florida, southeast Georgia, we got 10 to 15% chance. Now we are going to see wind gusts and winds significant, and they will cause significant damage. So let's break down the impacts we'll see here at home, forecast them as of now. These are still subject to change, but as of now, winds around 60 miles an hour, the bulk of them late in the day Sunday, really through the overnight hours and through the day Monday, wind gusts exceeding 75 miles an hour. What that means for us, down trees, tree branches, down power lines, and widespread power outages. So be prepared if you're at home, if you're not in the evacuation zone, be prepared to be in your home for several days, up to a week without power. Let's talk storm surge, 2 to 6 feet, isolated spots maybe up to over 6 feet. Now what that means for those at the beaches, beach flooding, beach erosion, our beaches will get beat up a bit. They are starting to get beat up a bit this morning. Powerful surf. There was about half tide coming in, and there was some barely dry sand on the beach. So keep that in mind. The storm surge will be there. Rain, we got 6 to 10 inches. Isolated peaks up to 12 inches. What that means here at home, street flooding will be an issue. There will be running water on the roadways and ponding on the roadways. Now, I think one of the good factors with this system is kind of as it steers north, it really depends on when it steers north, and as it gets that momentum up the state of Florida, is how quickly this is going to be in and out of here. Now, it's going to linger a bit, but we go through Sunday, was when the bulk of it, late through the day Sunday, through the day Monday, and conditions are going to be drastically changing on Tuesday, and we'll see some sunshine, so some cleanup efforts after this looking pretty good, so to speak, as we approach Tuesday and Wednesday. Jeannie, so keep it with it. We'll keep it here, First Coast News. We got all updates online. We got Facebook Lives going. I'll be going over to the newsroom, talking Facebook for you guys, answering your questions locally. And it really just depends on when the storm turns to break down neighborhood to neighborhood. We see how the storm reacts when it interacts with land, interacts with the state of Florida. I just want everyone to take a breath, remain calm. We got to look at everything that's going on currently to assess what will be on our doorstep.
I'm going to take your advice one more time. To try to be calm, because you can get prepared better if you're not too stressed out. But as the governor has said, and as Mayor Lenny Curry has said, don't just sit back and do nothing.
Exactly.
I mean, at our house this morning, I finally learned how to use a generator. I know thousands of people have bought generators. You guys are predicting widespread power outages.
Yes.
And I just want to tell you that, I mean, for a long time, I've seen the boxes of generators, and I thought, you know, I don't know how to use it. I'll just be honest. So I had a state-certified electrician come over and show me step by step which button, how to move the choke and the whole thing. And I made a video for anybody who's a rookie like I am. It's on my Facebook page, Jeannie Blaylock. And it's actually really helpful, just step by step from a certified
and one thing I
electrician.
just wanted to add here is that with preparation, even if you're not in an evacuation zone, but you're saying you're in an evacuation zone, but it hasn't been issued for an evacuation, I would just be prepared, have your kit ready if you have to leave your home at any time. That way you're good to go and you know your plan, and then it's kind of like muscle memory.
That's right. Pray for the best, hope for the best, and prepare for the worst.